The economic calendar is packed with the economic data in the second half of the trading week. On Thursday, traders remain focused on the European Union economy. In the speech of Wednesday, ECB President Christine Lagarde dropped a hint that the regulator is ready to expand its stimulus program. Tomorrow, investors will get to know preliminary data on consumer inflation in Germany. The CPI is expected to slow down to 0.6% on a yearly basis. This information is likely to weaken the euro. Indeed, it's the common practice for central banks to bolster low inflation by a rate cut. This move is always bearish for any currency. Later in the trading day, investors will take notice of reports on the US labor market, in particular initial unemployment claims. Experts anticipate a further decline in the number of first-time applications for unemployment benefits. Interestingly, last week the market showed a muted response to such important information. On Thursday, investors will turn special attention to the second estimate of the year's GDP for the first quarter. The first estimate reads that a GDP rate contracted to minus 4.8%. However, the market neglected the fact of downturn in the US economy. Analysts do not rule out that the publication of the second estimate will make no difference to the US dollar on condition that the rate is not downgraded. On Friday, traders await preliminary data on GDP and consumer inflation for the European Union. Eurostat is expected to report a downtick in the European Union CPI to 0.2% from 0.3% a year ago. This would be another signal for the ECB to respond with the fiscal measures and introduce a negative key interest rate. In this context, the euro would lose ground. These days, some traders will get to know GDP data for some countries in the European Union and Canada. The market is braced for these small figures. Apart from the above said reports, it would be a good idea to take notice of other important data. On Thursday, make sure you look at the report on private capital expenditure from Australia, current account data from Canada, and durable goods orders from the United States. On Friday, investors will find out information on consumer activity. Japan and Germany will report on retail sales. The United States will provide data on personal spending and income. Last but not least, don't miss a speech by Fed's chairman, Jerome Powell. You are watching Forex Trader Calendar on InstaForex TV channel with me, Kate Stichina. We wish you profitable deals.